the city. Let us always do what's right for our citizens. God, again, we ask for the guidance of your knowledge, and we ask that you protect all those people that are in harm's way. And God, we thank you for those first responders in this time. God, we also lift up all those people that are suffering with the COVID virus. Lord, give them strength. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. CECIL, would you lead us, pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There will be a slight change in the amendment. We're going to be adding Resolution 2021-001 regarding Missouri TAP grant. I'd like to call a motion to approve the amendment to the agenda.
Motion. Second.
Clarence? Mike? Show of hands.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the agenda, consent agenda. Make a motion.
Motion.
Second. Rob?
Second.
Show of hands.
Thank you.
Thank you. Citizens' comments. We have any citizens for a comment tonight? Go up to the podium.
Make sure you say his name.
Name and address.
Don Gersbach with the American Legion, Post 331 in St. Robert, and Rich McBeth is here with me also from Post 331 in St. Robert. And the reason I'm here tonight is to ask about the insurance clause in the request for to use the park, Waynesville City Park. It's the first time I've come across this. We've been doing the Easter egg hunt. This will be the 13th year that the American Legion Post has done Easter egg hunt in Waynesville City Park. And I got an insurance statement back from my park request. The request that says I've got to provide a $1 million insurance policy in order to use Waynesville City Park.
John, could you?
I can. So I've talked to Don and I've done some research even up into today. So unfortunately, since Myrma, so I'm not going to say the last 13 years, but for sure for the last 2 years, this has been a requirement by our insurance policy holder. This requirement comes to as naming the city as an additionally insured on this policy. Okay, this is a very standard request of most insurance policies, especially with cities and their parks. Okay, it is for the protection of the city. I can give you examples of that I was given. So if something happens at the Easter egg hunt or any special event in your park, and you do not have these policies in place, the city is liable for those happenings, whatever they may be. I was given one example of a city in the state of Missouri who had a kind of a similar gathering, and they had different events for different people, and had some people get in one of these balls that you roll around and bounce, and one person got hurt, and they sued the city and won for $45 million. So after discussing this with Myrma, these are some requirements that they take very seriously, and we will be audited by Myrma next month. And if events like these are found in our files, then our rates will most likely increase as a city.
And a $1 million policy for an event sounds like a whole lot, but there's a whole lot of insurance companies that cover it. We do events out at the Pulaski County Shrine Club, and we require the $1 million event insurance policy also, basically for the same reason, so that it doesn't fall on the development court.
And we've got another event that is going to require insurance policy as well. And I do have my insurance agent for the Post researching this and trying to get something for us. I just wanted to find out.
Right. They're not super expensive. They're just usually required by higher insurance companies.
So I'm not saying you've done it wrong in the past, because the previous carrier, I wasn't here for their, now the city of Waynesville, just recently, Don, went to Murmur, okay? And that was a year ago. Last year was our first year. So you may have very well been in bounds the entire time. I just know that in speaking with Murmur over the past, 3 or 4 days here, that is what they have told me, and they do audit our files for that. And I've watched it. Last year was my first year of watching them. So I'm not saying that it was wrong before. I just know that moving forward, that's a requirement to be held by all special events in our park.
Yeah,
Okay?
it's very unfortunate that we live in a totally different time than when we grew up. It is always somebody looking for something to sue, and we understand all those years no one's got injured except fighting for an egg. But we have to protect the citizens of the city too, and we appreciate your concern, and any other questions we can answer on that, we'll be more than happy to.
All right, well, thank you for that.
And Don, Amber's going to bring you back. In our policy itself, so each year Murmur gives a seminar that they do an annual seminar. They actually have a company that they recommend, or they have that these events or event holders can contact. And once they find out they're a Murmur city, may give you a better rate. Okay, so when you say I'm going to hold an event in the Waynesville City Park, who is a Murmur city, so she will give you that policy contact to where they can work you through it and possibly save you on that $1 million policy, save some money for the purchase of that policy.
Okay, great, I appreciate that.
I would do one other thing, sir. I would check with your current insurance holder to see if they have a rider for off-the-premises events.
And I did that,
Okay?
and they do not, but they're researching and getting us one.
Okay.
It's an odd thing that an American Legion post wouldn't have that.
Yeah.
But I did just find out last year we don't have anything off post.
Well, I can tell you years ago when I was on the council, back around 2000, the city's insurance covered the events if something should happen. And now, like John said, we're under the Murmur now, totally different ballgame for us.
All right, well, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
She's
Thank
given
you.
that information to the department.
Pardon me?
She's given that information to the department.
Good, okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Do we have any other citizens' comments? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Special guests and presentations. Well, our special guests, one or maybe two, have not showed up. So we'll move on to the business spotlight. Waynesville is now proud to honor Phelps Health as a business spotlight winner of this month. And George, would you like to come up, please? Introduce yourself to the council and our visitors tonight.
Yes, my name is George Hybe. I'm the clinic manager of the Phelps Health Waynesville Medical Plaza, located on 1000 GW Lane in Waynesville, right down from the high school. We opened our doors 5.5 years ago on the 6th of July, 2015. Seen a lot of patients since then. Of course, with COVID, we've had a lot of adjustments, but since we have grown, we've added in our sleep center, we've added in our immediate care, which is open 7 days a week from 8 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 to 6 Saturday and Sunday. We have a very robust family practice, pediatrics clinic, and we bring in specialists from throughout Phelps Health. We have nephrologists, women's health, pulmonologists, you name it, we've got a lot of ear, nose, and throat. So we're very honored to be here with you tonight.
And we appreciate Phelps County being in our community. A proclamation in honor of Phelps Health. Not too many whereases tonight, by the way.
Okay.
Whereas, in 2015, Phelps Health opened its much-anticipated health care facility, the Waynesville Medical Plaza on GW Lane in the city of Waynesville, with 56,000 square feet distributed over 4 floors. This facility houses a variety of state-of-the-art services, and whereas the facility provides health care services to the people of all ages within the Pulaski County region by offering primary and specialty care services. These services include an immediate care clinic that is open 7 days a week and provides care for non-critical emergencies, and Whereas Phelps Health, through their hard work and dedication, has served the community well, and the city of Waynesville is proud to have such an outstanding health care services for its citizens and the citizens of Pulaski County and beyond. Now hereby be resolved that I, Dr. Jerry Brown, Mayor of the City of Waynesville, do hereby proclaim Phelps Health and Waynesville Medical Plaza as the Business Spotlight winner for January.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mary.
We did have another special presentation for tonight for Steve Lynch, who has served this county in this area for a number of years as a state representative. Unfortunately, he is probably somewhere enjoying warmer weather. We're going to go to boards, commission, liaison reports. Pork board.
We had our meeting last Thursday. We started meeting at 6:01 p.m. We also approved the last month's meeting notes, which were from November of 2020. We introduced our newest board member, Ms. Bonnie Wilson, and let her talk about herself a little bit. One of our members brought up that he's heard from some residents who are wanting a skate park placed in Ruby-Doo Park. Well, we discussed that for a bit, and there's some other things that have been brought up. So we're going to put out a questionnaire on Facebook to get some feedback, to see just how many people want something like that, and then we can discuss more details about it and things like that. Ms. Wilson and her daughter has volunteered to paint a mural on the old pump station in Ruby-Doo Park. So we're going to, that'd be better than the paraphernalia that's on it now. Our meeting was adjourned at 6:36 p.m.
Any questions for you? Mike?
You might have your folks check with John regarding floodplain and flowway, because that's a problem with building anything down there in our parks, because all that land is either in the floodplain or the flowway, which, I mean, we had to move that one bathroom. How far? Less than a foot.
We had to move it, though.
Yeah, because it was just that close into the flowway versus the floodplain, and so it's a very arduous task to get something like that done, and to build a skate park down there might be something insurmountable.
Yes, sir.
No other questions? Thank you. Planning and zoning.
There was no planning and zoning for this month.
Go to standing committees. Utilities, Mr. France.
We held our meeting on January 5th. I called it to order. There were no citizens' comments. We approved the December 1st minutes. One of the topics for discussion is we have brought online Forte convenience fee, which basically is a flat 2.5%, which it will save our utility customers that pay with credit cards 0.5%, because we used to have to charge 3%. With some credit cards, have a 3.5%, 4% fee and stuff like that, depending on what card they own, to where now we're going to be charging a flat 2.5% fee, and it'll take care of everything. So our clients, customers, may be saving up to 1 or 2%. So hopefully they'll realize some degree of savings with their credit cards. Submittal, we're putting in for a grant. Say the city has submitted a CWSRF grant for Clean Water State Revolving Fund. A grant which addresses the sanitary sewer lagoons at Whitmore property in the Buckhorn area, which we have responsibility for the elimination of that lagoon that was servicing the old Whitmore Village, or Whitmore gas station in that. We've got to eliminate that, so that's what that's going to help us do should we get it awarded. But once again, it's one of those things you compete for. Department updates, natural gas keeping up with the daily work while assisting other departments to fill in during the ongoing pandemic. You know, there's not a lot of building going on besides doing their normal annual checks and inspections and training. Our gas department is helping the building department, helping the water department, sewer department, electric department on several projects of where digging and stuff like that's required. They are just a massive assistance to the other departments when not actively engaged in doing some of their work. Electric had several work orders. The biggest thing, though, is now our city is fully interconnected. Every major circuit that goes through town is now interconnected to another circuit to where it used to be where if your circuit was down, everybody in that circuit was down. Well, now we can backfeed power from another circuit to where we can reduce the number of people who are experiencing an outage very, very significantly. The other thing that we've done is our reclosers. We had a study done and we put in reclosers, which basically just last month they eliminated 8 power outages because of the way they work. So we have increased our reliability significantly over the past couple of years. And with our last C2D tire wire tie-in, which our people built in totality instead of hiring any outside firms, we saved a great deal of money. The committee also received the 2020 summary of e-reliability reports, which basically that tells us how many outages we had and how many people were affected and for how long they were affected. And if you saw reports from the 14, 15, times like that, over what we are now, you would not believe it. Our department has done yeoman's work. Wastewater and water had several work orders, also replaced 2 meters, set 3 new meters, and replaced 120 foot of 8-inch pipe. Repaired a main break leak on Morgan Street. And pretty much that was it, subject to your questions.
Questions for Mike? Economic
One
development.
thing, Jerry, I would like to bring up, I would really like to see, remember the electric department's summary of completed projects for 2020? I would like to see if we could put that on our website. Because, I mean, you would not believe how many major projects that they have done in-house, saving lots and lots of money from our citizens.
Thank you, Mike. Economic development, Councilman Farnham.
Committee met on January 5th. We had no citizens there to comment. Our main discussion was on grants. Mike just covered one about the on-site lagoon getting rid of. We were informed about the city working on an application for transportation alternatives program, mainly for our sidewalk project. And the city was still looking into the Volkswagen Trust electric vehicle charging infrastructure program. We discussed that for quite a while. That will be brought back up probably at the next meeting. Show Me Pace. Mr. Doyle presented his information and explanation about the Show Me Pace ordinance that should be in this evening's packet, I believe. You got a copy of it. Anyway, that is designed to help alternative funding mechanisms for businesses in the city of Waynesville. So that's something we look really forward to. Our business spotlight, we just had the January for Phillips Health. Next month, we have Warehouse 66 Music as our business for the month. And in March, we have Bliss, which is beauty, water-inspired salon and spa. And there's no special events for the month of January in the city. And having no further business, we adjourn to 5:25.
Any additional questions for Mr. Farnham? We do have a bill, 2021 2015-01, authorizing Missouri Show Me Pace. I'd like to ask for a reading of that ordinance.
Okay, first reading, an ordinance to enable the city of Waynesville to join Show Me Pace, the Missouri Property Assessment Clean Energy Act, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance to enable the city of Waynesville to join Show Me Pace, the Missouri Property Assessment Clean Energy Act, fixing an effective date.
Open for discussion. Any discussion?
Could I have Mr. Doyle explain real quick some of this?
Okay. So this is an alternative funding opportunity for commercial, industrial, agricultural, I think municipal.
Nonprofits. Not nonprofit.
Okay, nonprofits. So they provide this funding. It is tied to a couple things, but it actually opens another or provides another economic option or path for businesses to, investigate to see if it would be a better option for them, whether it be interest rates or just even the availability of getting money or, being funded. So the ordinance, the key to acquiring these funds, if you're say a commercial or industrial or any of those businesses, is the city or at least a defined boundary has to accept PACE by state statute into that boundary. And that's what this ordinance does, is saying that the city of Waynesville will, approves this funding in our district boundaries. There's really no obligation from the municipality.
And no cost.
No liability, no part.
Right.
Correct.
I'd like a motion for this.
So moved.
Mr. France, Mr. Farnham.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Councilman France?
Yes.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Curtis?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Thank you.
That carries. Police Committee. Councilman Liberty.
Meeting was called to order. Citizens' comments. Fire Chief Urico provided committee with information regarding Waynesville Rural Fire Department fire suppression rating. The minutes were approved. Mr. Doyle briefed us on Kahlua. Is that how you? Yeah. On Kahlua, it was a dog at the animal shelter. A part-time patrolman position was approved. Police Department updates, February 12th, there will be a speed campaign which is covered by a grant. Narcan training for officers may be covered by grant. Application was submitted. Other business, of course, City Hall was closed, Martin Luther Day. Last day of candidate filing was January 19th. Police Committee will now be held on the second Thursday of the month at 4 p.m. Committee entered closed session, returned to open session. Meeting was adjourned at 4:54. Next meeting being scheduled for February 11th, 2021 at 4.
Any questions for Mr. Liberty?
Yeah. Did the fire department give us what our new rating is compared to what our old rating was?
Yeah.
Would you
Do
like
you
to
remember
share?
what the number was?
Yeah, so our old rating, and I don't know how old you want to go here, but if we just look at the previous rating we had to the current rating we have, we stayed the same. However, there's kind of a key there. The previous rating, we were quite a distance from getting an improved. This last rating, the one we're rated at now, we are very, very close. Like it's achievable. It's something that we're going for actually. We think with some improvements that are currently planned within the city and the cooperation of the fire department, we're going to make it. Okay, so I think you will see an improved rating very soon because we missed it by maybe to say 7 points. We're right there. So when you look at the evaluation that you get as a city, they evaluate different aspects, and your rating is basically each aspect gives you a percentage, and then you tally up to that rating. And I think what I seen and the way it was distributed across there, we carry quite a bit of burden to improve that rating ourselves as a city. And then the fire department felt like they could improve some of their tactics as well. And I really believe at that point we're going to get an improved rating. Pretty excited about that because we are very close to that, just a few points
You may
away.
or may not see decreases in our homeowners insurance.
You will not see it
That's,
at this current rating, but when we get, if we can get that lower rating, and it is very achievable. That is a goal, actually. I think we can make it.
okay, but we are going in the right direction. That was.
Yes, we have narrowed the gap to the next rating, and like I said, we have a few, they expressed, we got some liability in this and need to do some things, and so do they. And, you know, we're looking at water storage in different locations and upgrading size of mains, increasing fire hydrant locations, just a lot of things that, you know, we've done. So if we continue on that path, we should be there. I think we should be there quickly.
Well, yeah, that's the reason I think public has a right to know.
Absolutely.
What our rating, not necessarily the numbers, but the fact that our rating is improving, which over the short term will lower insurance rates.
That's
Or
right.
should lower insurance rates.
That's right.
Which is good for everybody.
Any other questions? Roads and grounds, Mr. France.
I called the meeting to order on January 7th at 4 o'clock. There were no real citizens' comments. We had a couple of guests sitting in, and that is Daryl Marina, and we had Mr. Keith Pritchard and Mike Dunbar from Security Bank that were there. And basically, when asked, they were there about driving around the square and stuff like that. That was their point of interest. But they made no comments other than what we had decided as a committee. I called them to order at 4 o'clock. Minutes were approved from the previous meeting. Street issues and improvement updates. Benton Street paving was inspected and found to be satisfactory. Utility cut on Francis Street is completed. Committee had discussions regarding stop signs at the corner of Dyer Street, intersection of School Street and Lynn Street. The committee agreed to bring this topic back to the next meeting before making a conscious decision. The city will pursue grant funding for electric charging stations utilizing the Volkswagen Trust Electric Vehicle Charging Infrastructure Program. We've been talking about that for about 3 months now. Committee discussed parking around the square, and it was, they're taking a look at that. Committee reviewed a list of paving options provided by our street superintendent. A list will be, with pricing, will be brought to my next committee meeting in February. Other business, a stop sign will be reinstalled on Hillside and South Lynn Street. It's been knocked down, so we're replacing that one. We had a reason for closed session. We came out of closed session back into open session, and I adjourned the meeting at 5:04 p.m. Our next meeting is February 4th at 4 p.m. Everyone is invited to attend.
Any questions for Mr. France?
No, I just point out that stop sign at the hillside is up. It's been put up. So they moved quick on it. I noticed another stop sign was down, so.
And Dyer Street's up too. I saw that a couple weeks ago. Now.
Doing a good job.
Finance and Human Resources Committee, Mr. Liberty.
Meeting was called to order at 5 p.m. Councilman present was myself and Councilman Mike Curtis. There were no citizens' comments. Minutes were approved. Committee reviewed bills and approved them for payment. As of the cash flow, account status and year-to-date budget review, as of December 31st, 2020, city completed 100% of its 2020 fiscal year revenues, ending at 93% of budget projections, with expenses at 93%. Review Security Bank, Pulaski County Extension Proposal. Mr. Goel presented the proposal to us. Committee members are in favor of 2-year extension term expiring May 31st, 2022. Forte Payment Solutions, the transition to Forte Payment Solutions as city credit card processor is complete. Forte uses a pass-through service that only charges customers 2.5%. This saves the city customers 0.5%, city approximately $20,000 to $30,000 annually. Customers also have the option of utilizing the e-check feature. That is set at a cost of $1.75 for checks up to $50,000. Ordinance enabling City of Waynesville to join Show Me Pace. Also, an ordinance establishing the salary for the city prosecutor of $1,500 a month. That is forwarded to the City Council, full council for approval. Ordinance amending Chapter 125 of the Municipal Code of the City of Waynesville regarding qualifications of municipal judge. And that was approved by the committee and forwarded to the full council for approval. Preliminary audit day, January 21st. And they're returning May 8th for annual audit. Mr. Goel presented the committee with information regarding free training opportunity for the city to have certified loggers administrator. Committee approved Amber Box to complete this training. Mr. Goel reviewed the current job openings with the committee. Committee would like to see a draft revised dress code policy, which will be presented at the next meeting. Went into closed session, returned to open session. Committee adjourned at 5:42 p.m. Next scheduled meeting will be held January 14th, 2021 at 5 p.m.
Any questions, Mr. Liberty?
I just want to make it aware to our citizens, this e-check, I didn't even know was available. But if you want to pay your utility bill online, it will only cost you $1.75. So you don't have to drop it off here, or it's a lot cheaper than using your credit card. So just be aware of that. That's a good way to pay your utility bill.
No other questions? We have a bill 2021-03. Could you read that, please?
First reading, 2021-03, an ordinance establishing salary of the city prosecutor, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance establishing salary of the city prosecutor, fixing an effective date.
Any discussion? Motion?
Motion. Second.
Hold on, slow down.
Motion.
Mr. Curtis, Mr. Davis, roll call vote, please.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Curtis?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Connolly?
Yes.
Councilman France?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bill 2021-4. Reading, please.
First reading of 2021-04, an ordinance amending Chapter 125 of the Municipal Code of the City of Waynesville regarding qualifications of municipal judge, fixing an effective date. 2021-04, second reading, an ordinance amending Chapter 125 of the Municipal Code of the City of Waynesville regarding qualifications of municipal judge, fixing an effective date.
Discussion?
Have we got a judge yet?
We're working on it.
Okay, so we're still
working.
Motion?
Motion.
Mr. Liberty? Mr. France? Roll call, please.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Curtis?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Connolly?
Yes.
Councilman France?
Yes.
Thank
That
you.
passes. Bill 2021-8. Reading, please.
First reading of 2021-08, an ordinance approving a financial services agreement with Security Bank of Pulaski County, fixing an effective date. Second reading An ordinance approving a financial services agreement with Security Bank of Pulaski County, fixing an effective date.
Discussion?
0.61%.
Is that too high?
What's the average going for now? I mean, what's,
Not good.
It's not .61.
pardon me,
It's not .61.
is that higher or lower? It's higher than
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about an individual rate at a bank or savings or something like that, you're talking
0.5.
0.3, 0.2, something right in there. And I don't know what it is, but it's never very high.
But go borrow that same buck.
Yeah, I know. Okay, good. That was all.
Roll call.
We have a-
Oh, we have a motion?
Motion.
Ed, Mr. Rice?
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Councilman France,
Yes.
Councilman Conley,
Yes.
Councilman Liberty,
Yes.
Councilman Rice.
Yes.
Councilman Curtis.
Yes.
Councilman Davis.
Yes.
Councilman Farnum.
Yes.
Thank you.
Enthusiasm there.
Yeah.
I was going to ask a question, I didn't get to it, so.
All right, Waynesville St. Robert Joint Airport Board. Mr. Doyle, would you handle that for us?
Yes. So, the meeting was called to order at 3 o'clock. Minutes were approved. There were no citizens' comments. The budget for 2021 was approved by the board. During new business, Matt Chaffetz with Contour gave an update. Board reviewed the capital improvement plan report that was due on December 1st, 2020. And Aaron with SOP reviewed the SOP marketing report. Other business, the board discussed the upcoming EAS renewal. Contour Airlines AEAS contract expires in September of 2021. We are rebidding that contract as we speak and starting that process. The board discussed fuel agreement with Contour Airlines. Contract rate for fuel that Contour currently has at St. Louis is really not competitive with the rate that we could offer them at Fort Leonard Wood. Holiday block leave flight revision discussion. All holiday block leave flights have been moved to spring of 2021. The idea behind that was previously in years past, our provider has really kind of ramped up holiday block leave flights. This year it worked just the opposite due to COVID. They were doing some clean charter flights out of the airport, and so we thought if we scaled back our flights, we could ramp up hopefully after COVID and maybe pick up some more passengers that way. There was furniture for the break room, which has been a discussion. So there's been some construction out there. We put in a TSA break room, and we now have a refrigerator, microwave, as well as chairs, and just put together, kind of accessorize the break room for them. And then there was a youth sports recognition, as the airport is a big supporter of the Waynesville St. Robert Youth Sports. And a certificate of appreciation was given to the Waynesville St. Robert Airport for their continued support and sponsorship. The next meeting is Tuesday, January 26th, 3 o'clock at Waynesville. With no further business, the meeting was adjourned. Out of that committee, there were, I believe, 3 ordinances that were required. These ordinances will actually update the city of Waynesville. Our partner with St. Robert has already passed these ordinances. These ordinances come from the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission. What they do, why are they here? Some of it is the project, the taxiway project, has overrun and extended. Others is just renewing our current agreement with the Transportation Commission. So that is kind of the idea behind these ordinances. And if you have any questions individually on an ordinance here of these 3, we will address those as we begin to pass them.
All right. Bill 2021-05.
Questions?
After we
We'll
read it.
bring it for discussion.
Mine's on his notes.
Do what?
Mine's on his report.
We're not there yet.
Whatever. I'll ask my question whenever you
Okay.
want me to.
Reading, please.
First reading of 2021-05, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2297, authorizing the mayor of the city of Waynesville to execute a supplemental agreement for a state block grant agreement between the city of Waynesville, city of St. Robert, and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2297, authorizing the mayor of the city of Waynesville to execute a supplemental agreement for a state block grant agreement between the city of Waynesville, city of St. Robert, and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission, fixing an effective date.
Discussion.
No, mine's about,
The next one.
no, it's not about any of those. It's about the basic report that he just gave.
Well, we discuss each one of these ordinances. He was giving an overlay of what we're doing here.
I know exactly what we're doing on all those, on all your ordinances. I have no questions about them. Mine's about his basic report, where they take some information on from Contour. How are employments running? Did they talk about that?
We did. So employments are,
Can we finish this ordinance, then we can
Sure.
discuss that part?
Okay.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Ed?
Second.
Mike? Roll call?
Councilman France?
Yep.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Curtis?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Thank you.
Passes. Can
So
you answer his
let's-
question now?
let's do the employment discussion with the, so I wanna be careful when we advertise this, Mike, because there's been a couple discussions out there. And as it stands right now, we are under the impression and are currently using in our reports the employments of all flights that went out, the chartered, the clean, sanitized charter flights, as well as
The ones where they're flying trainees out to the various installations.
yeah. So we use those numbers, and those numbers push us to about, I want to say
9,000 something.
8,000.
It was over 9,000.
9,000. It's really
We
not.
didn't make 10,000.
We did not make 10,000, but we were just short of it, okay? But I don't want to give the impression that that was our employment numbers with our current EAS provider, because it was not. We're much less, okay?
And Contour understands why we're at where we're at.
Yeah, and you know, they're aggressive. These guys are working hard. They have a lot of good ideas. When I say aggressive, they're throwing out ideas. They realize that their numbers are lower, and they're lower than they want them to be terribly, you know, and they're working hard. They can't help that the pandemic and their contract time lined up. Their goal is to push this thing to 9,000 to 10,000 themselves. And I will tell you that Matt and Contour and Fort Leonard Wood, they are having very good discussions right now, and it looks positive, and I'm kind of excited moving forward with what we have.
My other question was on fuel sales. You said that St. Louis offers them a better price than we can do?
So they have a contracted price with us, agreement, what we could offer, and that is based on actually the price that we purchase it for, and, but yes, they have a better contracted price at St. Louis currently.
A lot of bulk sales there with all the airlines coming in, so.
So it's been, but our fuel sales this year have really been good.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of fuel sales, and they've really been good due to the charter flights. So we're very thankful.
So the
for
charters
that.
have been buying from us.
Huh?
The charter flights have been buying from us.
We filled a lot of big planes out there. Yeah, we filled a lot of big planes. And we're actually working a agreement with Fort Leonard Wood. We hope to hear something back on that. I think my guy told me like February to do maybe some more
I think years are relative to some of us older guys.
I would hope if we are going to do the sidewalk and the bridge out, that we put some pressure on the MoDOT to do something like the sidewalk and look across.
You know, the bridge is bad over there.
So it needs, there's a lot of it. My 2 cents.
We have people tripping on that all the time, because of the way it's.
My wife tripped and fell on it a couple of years ago. He was walking down, it's not a broken bad.
Well, when they raise our fuel tax, we'll probably get that.
No.
Nice start, though.
Best tickets.
Any other thoughts? City Administrator's report.
So, a lot of the things in this report's already been covered. So I was hoping to start off with 4 days of this meeting. You guys kind of got that, so I'm gonna start off with the CARES Act. So the CARES Act monies, and Doc gave me an update today, which she will probably, hopefully update you guys with, but the city has begun the process of acquiring funding from FEMA for expenses incurred due to the COVID-19 pandemic. These expenses have been funded countywide by the local CARES Act monies distributed to Pulaski County and dispersed by Pulaski County Commissioners. These funds have not been provided to the city of Waynesville by the Commission and have caused the city to seek alternative funding options for these expenses. So currently we are in the process of working with FEMA or through FEMA to acquire funding for these expenses that we incurred from roughly a year ago today to now. So,
Mr. Doyle, didn't the federal government extend the CARES Act time frame just recently?
they have.
So if there's any monies left that's unspent at the county level, they can still be available.
So I'm not sure how much monies are left that aren't currently spoken for at the county level. I'm thinking it's very close to zero. I'm not sure.
John's working with FEMA, that's a little bit different.
So FEMA has funding sources as well for this exact same thing. They we're not the first city to show up on this doorstep with the same story. Okay, so far they've been very good to work with. It will be more detailed, but they've been very positive about the items we've purchased, expenses we've incurred. They're, it's a lot of work, and I just tell you, Miriam, the executive assistant, Miriam Jones, is doing this application, and it is intensive. But she submitted today. She submitted our rough draft today. We will be getting guidance back on that submittal, in the next few weeks, and working towards the funding of the items that we placed that should have been covered by the CARES Act money. Continuing with, the CWSRF grant, you guys have heard about that. That grant has already been submitted. Marion worked very hard on that grant as well. We got that submitted. We're doing a TAP grant, which basically is sidewalk grants, and after tonight with this approval that you guys have done, she will probably submit that tomorrow, if not first part of the week. Volkswagen Trust Electric Vehicle Charging Infrastructure Program is another grant that we are working on. Something very important, Amber Box's audit. Today, we had a preliminary audit date, so we entertained a couple of our auditors today. I think it went very well. I didn't see any tears. Nobody too stressed, so we survived that. But I think it was the week of March 8th. We are going to have the 4-day audit, so it's coming back up. There's a lot of information that's going to be required. She has worked very hard and done very well with that. Very proud. Some project updates for utilities. Raising Bluff Circle Utilities was a project that we had discussed in last year. It's 100% complete. We're finished. The electric C to D tie was spoke about. Very big project done in-house, complete. Utility pole replacement, we're about 5% complete. I'm going to say we probably got maybe 2 to 6 poles done, somewhere in there, but we will start that. We have 50 poles to complete. I think you guys have heard that how that survey went. Northern Heights water tanks, 85% complete, waiting on pumps and parts. City well generator adaptation. So we're going to work on trying to adapt the wells that we have in the city to direct connect to our portable generators. So if we have a power outage at any time, we can go to these locations and provide water, or at least fill our tanks and towers during power outages to the best of our ability. We're working on that. And currently we have a citywide push, all employees, police department, every employee in the city, to complete a CPR and first aid certification training. We're probably 15–20% complete with that. This training will continue through the month of March. So we have maybe twice a week scheduled. They take about 3 at a time due to COVID. I invite you guys, the council's welcome to this as well. It is citywide. Currently I have a couple, I think Doc and Clarence are wanting to take that, and it is open to you guys. This is being provided by St. Robert Fire Department, and they're doing dual training. Right now I believe we have certification in all but one department right now in the city. Our gas department is the next on the list to add a guy in this training, and then we will at least have one person on each department certified in both first aid and CPR. Upcoming events on February 15th, that's President's Day, and City Hall will be closed that day.
Question for Mr. Doyle. Council comments. Mr. France.
Take care, be safe.
Comment?
Can't believe Mike lived short. They got going his example and just be safe out there. Socially distance. Wear your mask.
Mr. Liberty.
Thank you to all that showed up at this council meeting. And thank you to Mr. Doyle and his staff, all the employees. You make us all look good and all be safe.
Mr. Rice.
I just want to thank everyone too, and wish everyone a happy new year. Maybe recap the trash service over the holidays. Seems like a lot of people missed that. It's 2 days. I'm sure you may have had some calls.
I did too.
Yeah, I did too. If you're a Thursday, it goes to Wednesday instead of Friday. So. Other than that, here.
Mr. Curtis.
I was fly fishing Saturday, and I always work problems when I'm fly fishing. And one of our family members is not speaking to other family members because of political stand. And I thought, well, that's ridiculous. And I just want to say that I don't care where you stand politically, I like you.
Bless your heart, like
Mr. Davis.
I'm going to be less amusing this time than normally. I want to give a shout out to the first responders.
Yes.
And for first responders, I mean firemen, police officers, utilities, anybody who is in the service of making somebody else's life better, which probably is the convenience store workers too. But when you're talking about police officers, firefighters, things like that, a lot of those guys are ex-military or current military. So not only are they coming out to put out fires or pull people over and be with attitudes just because you were doing 45 mile an hour of the speed limit, you don't think there's a problem with that. But they're in a whole life of service. You know, they were ex-police officers or MPs or whatever in the military, and then they continue a life of service after they get out to take crap off the public. All right, and they do. So the next time you see them, you know, if you see the utility guys down, put up a power line, stop and grab them a Powerade, drop off some Powerade, or if it's cold outside, drop off some coffee or some hot cocoa. Show them that you appreciate it, because they are there for you. It just kills me, and I guess it was a couple months ago, it was at Casey's, and two police officers were out in the parking lot of Casey's trying to fend off the situation, and they chased the guy for about 1.5 blocks, 2 blocks, so you know, he was fairly winded. And instead of the citizen getting out of the car and helping out the police officer, they got out of the car and started taping the confrontation. So I just don't understand. Do we live in a world where you would rather tape something than help somebody out? and I have a problem with that. So give a shout out to the first responders.
Very good.
Well said. Mr. Farnum.
Well, we won't be meeting again until after the 14th of next month, so happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Instead of chocolates in the little heart, give hot wings and Red Lobster biscuits. We'll appreciate that a whole lot more.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Huh? Oh, well,
You give them your address so they can deliver it.
what?
I'll make it.
In the last month, this community has lost a number of longtime citizens, and I'd like to give us just a few moments of silence to remember these folks. Adjourned.
I think I just ruined my wife's present for Valentine's